Hi everybody, welcome back to The Silver Lining. I'm your host Julie by Miss Photo Fair 2020, and I have a little special guest right here. This is my dog Apolline, and she's here for a very important message before we get to our very important guest. You guys need to go vote. My shirt says, "Don't tell me how to vote," because every person has the right to vote how they want and when they want, but as long as you do it, that's the important part. And with 11 days till the election, it's a really, really, really important thing to do. I know my guest here agrees with me because she's advocated for voting so much. So allow me to introduce you to my wonderful guest. She is beautiful, she is accomplished, and she is incredibly kind. Please welcome Miss Pennsylvania, Tiffany Seitz. Hi, Tiffany.
Hi, Julia. Thank you so much for having me. So excited to be here.
I'm sorry I didn't ask you before. How do you pronounce your last name, just so I get it right?
Seitz. Yep. You were right.
Yay.
You nailed it. You nailed it. Not many people do that on the first try, so props to you.
I mean, thank you. I'm so happy to have you here, and I'm so excited to ask you all these questions.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be a great time, so I'm looking forward to it. So thanks again for having me.
Of course. So I'm wondering how you first got involved with the Miss America organization, and what do you believe you learned along the way that led you to your Miss Pennsylvania win?
Absolutely. That's a great question, and it's one that I love answering because it's actually a very unique answer. So my involvement in the Miss America organization actually happened as an accident. So I happened my junior year of college to be doing a favor for somebody and ended up meeting the judges chairperson for one of our local competitions. And at that point, I did not know the Miss America organization existed. I had no idea that it was out there, that there was a scholarship competition that, paid for women's schooling. I had no idea. So I didn't really know much about it upon my first try, but somebody asked me, they were like, "Do you have any pageant experience?" And I said, well, yes, I did one pageant. And ironically enough, that one pageant I did, I actually competed with our current Miss America, Camille Schreier.
Oh my God.
So super fun. We competed in a National American Miss together in 2012, and she was National American Miss Pennsylvania in 2012. So our story has kind of come full circle. So we got to do that together and Miss America together. But really, that was the only pageant experience that I had. And so I decided to give it a try, didn't really know what to expect. And, again, it had a swimsuit competition. So I went really quickly, and it was on a whim. I heard about this less than a week in advance. So I had to get all my paperwork done, had to go pull together a wardrobe. So my mom picked me up early from school one day, and we went to a mall down the road, went and grabbed a swimsuit from JCPenney's, grabbed a cocktail dress from Boscov's. I pulled out my old interview suit from National American Miss, and I used an old prom gown for evening wear, and ended up placing first runner-up on my very first try. So really, really amazing experience. I absolutely loved it. And so I decided to come back, try again. I won Miss Butler County in 2018, went to Miss Pennsylvania 2018 for my very first time. And then this is where things get a little bit more unique, but I didn't place at Miss Pennsylvania 2018 at all. It was my first try. It was amazing. Made so many friends, learned so much about the process, about the organization, about me as an individual. So even though I didn't win the title, I won so many other things, personal development and professional development as well. So there were a lot of things gleaned from that experience, even though I did not win. But November of 2018, I decided to go back, try again for another local competition, and I ended up placing first runner-up. And so first runner-up, you don't go to Miss Pennsylvania. So I got a call that April, a week before Easter, asking me, because there was a girl that dropped out, asking me, since I was the first runner-up, if I would be interested in taking the spot, since, they needed to fill the shoes of that person that was going to be gone. And so I said yes. And this was actually 6 weeks out from Miss Pennsylvania. So I had 6 weeks to get together once again, throwing everything together. Had to get a wardrobe, re-choreograph my talent. We did that in 2 rehearsals, got a costume on rush order, had to order an evening gown. And so I went in, what I felt to be vastly unprepared in comparison to my competition, and still ended up winning. So surprise, here I am. It's been an amazing experience, and I've learned so much, but I've learned that sometimes it's really not about the win at all. One thing that people don't really know was that during competition week, my mom actually had to go undergo some life-saving surgery. And so my family was actually not in the audience to see me win Miss Pennsylvania. And so, for me, it started at the beginning of the week and went through towards the end of the week. And so for me, I wasn't in it, for winning it. And sometimes that's not the only thing that you're focusing on, because if winning is the only thing that you're focusing on, then you're missing the beauty of the whole experience. And so for me, that personally is what I felt I've learned that, you know, family and friends and relationships and things that you are learning and building throughout the experience are so much more important than the win itself. I'm grateful each and every day that I've won the title of Miss Pennsylvania, that I get to keep it for 2 years. But, you know, again, sometimes it's really not all about the winning. It's about what's going on around you and the people around you that really make that experience unique. So if I had to pick one big lesson, I would say that's what I learned.
Love that answer. First off, let me just say I'm happy that your mom is okay, and that the surgery went well. I love this quote you said. I hope you don't think I was like distracted. I was writing down
Oh,
what,
not at all.
if winning is the only thing you're focusing on, then you're missing the beauty of it. I really, really love that. How funny is it that the one year you weren't solely focused on the crown is the year that you won? I think I've heard that many, many times where the girls were like, you know, I didn't really care if I was going to win. I just wanted to go there, be myself, and do the best that I could. And that's
Absolutely.
what led them to their big win.
Mm-hmm.
Not having your family in the audience must have been tough. What did they say when they found out? Were they like mind blown? Were they sad that they weren't there?
It was actually crazy because our Miss Pennsylvania, so when I won, it was kind of like a whirlwind of things happened. So they closed the curtains. I was rushed by people, and we just started taking all these photographs because we had to get all these photos out of the way and done before we went over to our after party. And I didn't know where my phone was. I had no idea where my cell phone was. And so our former, who is Kayla Rapaski, Miss Pennsylvania 2018, who crowned me, actually had my phone and FaceTimed my parents. So I did actually get to see them that night. And then I talked to them later that evening. So it was really nice to be able to actually see them on the night that I won. But unfortunately, they weren't able to be there. But you know what? Even in the absence of my family, I do have to give credit to the title holders that I competed with, because they stepped in and they were like my family the whole entire week. Everybody was so caring, so kind, so concerned. And, you know, as scared as I was for my mother's health and my mother's life, you know, these women really reassured me that they were praying for me, that they were willing to do anything to help me through this, because, you know, they were empathetic and understood what I was going through. So I have to give a major shout out to those girls those other 27 girls that I competed with. They were absolutely phenomenal. And you know what? We all banded together that week. A lot of people ask me about, you know, what's the climate like with the girls? Do you guys get along? Is it catty? Do you hate each other? And I'm like, you know what? At both like the state and the national and even the local level, there's none of that. We all love each other. We are all the best of friends. And these women, both from state and national competition, I still keep in contact with them to this day. They are some of the best humans I know and best friends for life, which I really, really appreciate. So they're absolutely amazing. So I've got to get a major shout out to them, because they were like my family during the week. So it was really, really wonderful to have that support.
Yes, shout out to that. And, you know, I just love this organization because I've met so many women that are so uplifting and so supportive of each other. And I just think that it's just a wonderful environment to be in and very, very positive. So I'm so happy they had friends like that. And it just goes to show that the people ask if there's pageant cattiness. I don't think there would be any cattiness among winners, because the girls that win in this organization are gracious, they're kind, and the judges would be able to see right through any fakeness. And
Absolutely.
that's just why these girls gather, why they win, because they have that quality. So I can completely see that in you, and you seem like a very wonderful person. And from the little I've shared with you, I would think anyone would be very lucky to be your friend. And I'm so happy you had a really good support system.
It was wonderful. Yeah.
And you maybe wouldn't have gone through that week as well as you did if you didn't have that support system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They were incredible. So I have to give major shout out to them, because they are the ones that got me through the week. The leadership of the Miss Pennsylvania Scholarship Foundation was so unbelievably and incredibly understanding and supportive as well. So major shout out to them. It was just, you know, that was a week where friends became family, and you really, really felt that. So it was awesome.
Totally. So now my next question is, I want to know exactly how many titles you served under the Miss America organization locally. Was it 2 or 3?
It was 2. Yep. So I was Miss Butler County in 2018. I was Miss Laurelwood for about 6 weeks in 2019. And then I became Miss Pennsylvania 2019 and 2020 magically.
So how do you think that these 4 years of service, you're like 3.5 or maybe 3 going into your 4th, how do you think that these years of service have shaped you? And how do you think your years of service as a local title holder prepared you to take on a state title?
Absolutely. That's a fantastic question, because I think that there is a misconception that local titles are a ticket to your state competition. And yes, in a way they are.
Yes.
But regardless of the title you have, whether it be local, state, or national, it is the same importance. The magnitude and the audience you reach might be different, but it is the same importance. It is centered and rooted around service and making change. And, one thing that a lot of people sometimes do, and what I've seen sometime in the short time that I've been involved in the Miss America organization, is after people, don't win the state or the national, they kind of hang up. And this is a little bit more for locals, is that they kind of hang up the crown and sash and wait for next season to start. But I'm thinking to myself, there is so much more impact that you can make by taking that to running its course and allowing it to finish out, and one example I can think of this is that I was Miss Butler County, and after states I had until June. States was in June, and then I wasn't giving up my title until like December-ish. And so I had all that time to be doing events and making change. And I think to myself, if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have made a lot of the connections that I made after the state competition. And I actually developed a really great relationship with the Butler County Commissioner, who invited me to speak at his re-election kickoff event about the work that I had done in Butler County as Miss Butler County 2018. So, I think to myself, had I not followed through with, my local title and using that to its end, I never would have been able to do that or have that opportunity. So I think it's really important that we view these titles, regardless of what level they're at, with such importance, because you never know the difference that you can make. And you never know the impact that you can have in somebody's life. And, you don't want to miss out on those things and opportunities.
I so agree. And before I really got to know this organization when I was a teen, I just thought, like what you initially said, it's a ticket to the state competition, because I didn't really even know any better. I didn't even know there was a year of service involved. I thought you would go to a couple of parades and do photo shoots, and then you'd be at the state, and that would be it. But I love that this organization is so deeply rooted in service, and I really want to capitalize on the fact that you said that local titles are at the same magnitude as a national title. It is still an honor. You're still representing a city or a county or, a corporation. Like, I'm representing the South Florida Fair, and some people may think that sounds very small, but down here in South Florida, it's like a Palm Beach staple, like,
Yeah.
everyone comes around, and, so it's my job to represent that well. And I just love that you say you were so passionate about service even before you won Miss Pennsylvania. And that's probably why you won, because you've never underestimated the importance of giving back. And you saw more than just the crown. You
Absolutely.
really made
Absolutely.
any title that you had. And I think that's absolutely what you should do as a winner. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
In addition to being a queen that prioritizes service and paying it forward, you also are very, very smart. So I'm going to read my third question because it's a lot and I don't want to.
Yes.
So you graduated from Grove City College, where you began as a communication studies major, but later switched to entrepreneurship major after taking a principles of marketing class, which piqued your interest in business. We love women in business. We know Miss America really, really, really loves women in business, so that's so cool. You decided to keep a communication studies minor and noticed the merit in how the two fields work together well. You were quoted as saying, "Looking at where I am now in my role as Miss Pennsylvania, I couldn't be happier that I decided to keep the two of them together after all. I use the skills, tools, and strategies taught to me in those two disciplines on a daily basis, and I am so glad that I get to share the things that I have learned with others." I absolutely love that. I love how you're incorporating your education into your service and you're using them to make the best of both worlds. I'm wondering, I know that you studied in a marketing class, but what exactly about that marketing class piqued your interest in business, and what do you hope to do with this degree going forward?
Absolutely. So, when I was in that marketing class, I had started out in communications. I had taken a couple classes just to see, here and there what it was like. Because when I started college, I planned on rolling with communications regardless. But I had taken actually principles of marketing as an elective because I didn't really know much about the business field. I kind of wanted to see what it was like in comparison. And I think for me, it was the difference in pace of the classes. I thought that principles of marketing moved a lot faster and was a lot more intriguing, I thought, than my communications classes. And I loved my communications classes as well. But I think when it comes down to it, the kind of person that I am and I know myself to be, I really, really felt at home in that marketing class. I really liked the speed at which it moved. And I really liked the content that we were learning. And I felt that the content we were learning in that class was something that I could take out in everyday life and I could run with it and I could do amazing things with it. And so that is really what made me switch. And I switched, and I decided, I had debated when I was switching between marketing and entrepreneurship, but I ended up going with entrepreneurship because I really like the fact that that field is so vast and so broad.
Mhm.
And, when looking for a job, sometimes people can think that would be like a problem, but in a way, sometimes it is. It kind of makes it a little bit difficult to kind of shop for jobs when your degree is so broad. But with your degree being so broad, you really can do anything. You can do marketing, you can do advertising, you can do digital arts. There's so much that you can do with this degree. And I have found it to be so useful in the things that I am doing right now as Miss Pennsylvania. So I couldn't think of a better degree that has come more in handy than anything else. I think that marketing is a really, really niche field. Actually, my roommate was a marketing major and she's doing fantastic things, works at Federated in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania here right now. And she's doing that. But I think, when it comes down to me and my interests and what I wanted to do, I think that entrepreneurship was the best fit for me, best fit for my personality, and clearly the best fit for what I'm doing right now, because there are so many skills and abilities that I have learned from both communications and entrepreneurship that I apply daily to my job as Miss Pennsylvania. And never did I think that my first full-time job would be wearing a crown to work. But here I am,
Yes.
grateful as ever. So amazing, such an amazing opportunity. But you know what? It's such a unique resume builder too. A lot of people have misconceptions about what this job is about, but I will be the first to tell you, it is a job. It
Yeah.
is a job. And luckily, I'm grateful that my organization pays me a stipend each and every month to do this job, because sometimes it gets really, really difficult. Even though I haven't been traveling, it's a lot of posting on social media, creating
Of course.
infographics, doing virtual appearances. So the workload is still about the same, just doing it from at home in my bedroom on Zoom, kind of like I am now. So,
Totally.
grateful to be able to be applying those things to what I'm doing right now. However, looking down the road, one of the reasons that I majored in entrepreneurship was so my talent is dancing, and I've danced for like the last 23 years of my life. I'm trained in every style. And so my dream one day is to open my own dance studio. I teach dance right now at a really amazing studio in Saxonburg, Pennsylvania, Natalie School of Champions. I have the best students in Butler County. They are the sweetest, most hardworking kids I've ever worked with. And, as I train under the studio, I'm really, really thinking about, my goals and dreams to open a dance studio and give, that love of dance that I have to so many more kids around this county and around the state of Pennsylvania. So that's what I'm hoping to do in the long term, in addition to some other things. Not really sure what those other things are yet, but that's one of the things that I have on my bucket list to complete.
Wow, that was an amazing answer. I love your education story. I love how you're doing something you really, really enjoy and how you just immediately clicked with it. And like I said before, Miss America loves women in business. They honor them at the competition. And I'm just thinking to myself, what better person to be this powerful woman in a mostly male-dominated industry until now, because we're seeing so many women on the rise, than a Miss
Absolutely.
America title holder. And I love that you're incorporating those skills, not only the skills that you learned from school, not only in your year as Miss Pennsylvania, but you'll carry those for the rest of your life. And I think that's incredible. I also do want to mention the fact, though, that you said just because I'm wearing a crown doesn't mean that this isn't a job. It is a job, and it's a hard job. And I also do want to say that I'm so happy I get to interview your entire class. It's a very unique perspective, never had before by title holders, where
Yeah.
you all, not just like Miss America, because we've had one Miss America before, way back in the 1920s, that served 2 years before new rules were, instated, but we've never had state title holders serving twice. And this job is carefully designed to be for 1 year, and it's
Yep.
hard. And it's hard for that 1 year, and you're obviously, I want to have that job, so I'm not complaining.
Absolutely.
But it's difficult work. You're representing your state, and you are representing this giant corporation of Miss America.
Mm-hmm.
But now you're doing it for 2 years, and
Right.
that's twice the workload. And even though you're in COVID, it doesn't really change, like you said, the amount of work that you're doing, even though it's virtual. It's also hard to get used to that. So I just do want to commend you for that. You all are
Thank
handling
you.
it so well, and I would be remiss if I didn't recognize that hard work. And I just want to say that just because you're working from home doesn't mean you're not working hard. I'm an online student right now, and I can tell you being online is very different, but probably a little harder to get used to even than being on campus.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm sure. I know that the education industry especially is just going through so many morphs and changes right now. So props to you for making it work,
Thank
and
you.
everybody right now that's making it work here in COVID world. whenever that's going to end, hopefully fingers crossed very soon. But you know what? It's a lesson that, you know, we constantly need to adapt. We need to be flexible and ready for change at any point in time. So
I love that. I'm going to write that down. You need to constantly adapt, constantly be flexible and ready for change at any time. I think that's a huge part of being a title holder too. You know, like what if like an appearance changes all of a sudden? They're like, oh, Tiffany, we need you to make a speech. You're not going to,
mhm.
no, I can't. You're going to get up there and be like, I won for a reason. I'm going to get up there and make a speech. So I absolutely love that. You need to adapt, be flexible, and ready at any time. And also, just one quick question I want to check in. How is your state doing with COVID? Are you guys in like a particular stage, or how's that going?
Yeah, so we seem to be doing pretty good. I think our emergency order, you know, keeps being extended by our governor. So I don't think that any of our restrictions, as far as like masks, social distancing, none of that has really let up yet. So as far as like my county, at least, you know, I think we're doing fairly well. I think our numbers are on the decline, at least from what I've been reading in my county. But I know bigger counties are seeing little bits of spikes here and there. So I think overall, doing the best that we can. So it's really, really, you know, it's what a time to be alive, what a time to be a title holder in the middle of a pandemic. But you know what? It's, you know, we've got to keep the morale high. So regardless of
Absolutely.
what's going on, we've still got to do our jobs. We've still got to show up, show out, hard work, you know, all that jazz. So, you know, regardless of what's going on in my state, I'm still going to strive to be the beacon of light to encourage people that this too shall pass, whenever that may be, but
I
it will be gone eventually.
You're saying so many quotes. I love that. Be a beacon of light even in times like this. I love that. That's what I preach. That's why my show is called The Silver Lining, and I love your positive attitude. And now
Thank
I
you.
want to go to my next question about your big win. So you mentioned that this was a very, very tough week for you. Competing is already so stressful, and I've had the opportunity to go to team state competition, so I know that it's very, very, very nerve-wracking,
It
and
is.
it's just a lot of pressure. In addition to that, though, you were also worrying about your mom, and your family wasn't there, and you had 6 weeks to prepare, so all these other factors. When you won, what did that feel like? Was it like immediate like relief? Did you think this was all worth it? Like, what was that feeling? I imagine you were shocked, because I also just want to mention, I love when girls admit, like, I didn't make it in the top 5 or didn't make it at all the previous years I tried, and then I won. It just goes to show that if you keep trying and you keep going back, you know, the system will reward you and it will reward your hard work. And just because you're not top 5 or top 10 or anything at all one year doesn't mean you can't win. So I love that. But because you weren't top 15, and because you had only 6 weeks to prepare, this must have been a surprise, or maybe not. I don't know.
Oh my gosh. Well, it actually was a huge surprise. It's funny because at the beginning of the week, I kind of gave myself this mental chat and I was like, you know what, Tiffany, you're not showing up here to win. You are not prepared enough to do that. Look around at your competitors. They've had between 9 months and a year to prepare. You are going up against that with 6 weeks. A talent routine you learned in 2 days, an evening gown that you got on rush order, you know, like there's a lot of factors stacking up against you here. So you need to be not pessimistic, you need to be realistic, as in it's not your year. And that was that's the talk I gave myself at the start of competition week, which is so funny. And granted, like, yes, I wanted to win, but obviously with the things going on around me, that wasn't really my priority. I didn't make it my priority all week. I just, you know, to be perfectly honest with you, my whole strategy the entire week was to wing it. I did. I went out there. I did the best that I possibly could, and it paid off. And sometimes it's not about the strategy. It's not about pre-planning. It's just going out there and being your authentic self. And reason being, and I think why I was able to do that so well, was because I did not have the time to be in my head about it.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? I think it really makes a huge difference when you're going out on a whim and doing something that you didn't expect to do and at a place you never expected yourself to be. I feel like any pretentious nature just goes away and you're just yourself. And so I think that really, really paid off, the fact that I actually did have less time. You know, I just kind of went out there, did what I needed to do, and here I am, which is so
Right.
great. So I was actually really, really shocked that I won. Definitely was not expecting to win. And as a matter of fact, my first runner up, you may know her, Miss South Florida 2020, Paige Weinstein.
Oh
Yeah. So Paige was actually my first runner up. She's going to be so great. I'm really hoping to come to Miss Florida whenever you guys
Oh yes, cheer us on. She's absolutely awesome. I haven't had the chance to meet her in person, but I've seen all her posting and she's awesome. So shout out to Paige. I'll definitely send her
Yes.
part, and she's doing amazing things with her news job and she's awesome.
Yes, absolutely. So she's actually, I figured I'd mention that on here because you guys probably knew each other, similar
Yes.
titles. But she was my first runner up here in PA, and she was also Miss Pennsylvania's Outstanding Teen in 2015. So absolutely incredible individual. I think she eventually is made for Miss America. I think she's going to be great. You guys are all going to be great in Florida. Fingers crossed I can get down there to see you all and support you and support my beautiful Miss Florida, Michaela McLean. But you know, when I won, it was definitely something that was unexpected and came as a total and complete surprise to me. But you know, what I do have to say is that all of the women that were there, their hard work did not go unnoticed. They were fantastic all week long. I think every single one of them should have won for very, very different reasons, because they bring such unique things to their local titles. And I think that they could bring even more special things to the state title. But you know, at the end of the day, there is one winner, and I take my job very seriously in the fact that I understand that my job as Miss Pennsylvania isn't just representative of me or my character. It is representative of the class of women that I competed with and
Absolutely.
their character. And so I strive each and every day to be the best that I can be, because I know that there are so many women that want and desire this job. And I know that unfortunately the reality is that not everybody can be it. It's only one time and it's only one girl. And so some people might see the title, some people might not. And so I represent both
Yes.
classes of women, and I take that very seriously. So the job that I do each and every day is not just representative of me, it is representative of the women that competed with me, and they are absolutely fabulous and fantastic. And I hope that I do them homage every single day that I represent them. So again, we have a class full of winners regardless. They are winners in my eyes because they are, each and every one of them are so unique and fantastic and would bring such wonderful qualities to this job. So
Absolutely. And technically, they are all winners because they all had to
yes.
win a title to get there for good reason. I absolutely love that statement. I don't think that I've ever had someone say that statement exactly before. So it's so nice to hear that you are not only representing you, your state, your family, are also representing the girls that competed with you, wanted the job, and also had your back, as you mentioned. So that's a really, really special thing. And now I really want to mention also, too, that you mentioned that you competed with Camille in Miss
Yes.
America Junior Miss back in 2012. So you guys have had a long history together. Then you go to Miss America 2020. Yes, sorry, I get confused with the years
I
sometimes.
know it's confusing.
And so that's so cool. What a full circle moment. And you got to see your friend win. Shout out to Camille. I really want you on my show. You're so cool. And she's awesome and has done a great job. And you also got to be there and got to be on the Miss America stage. What was that experience like? I know it was very different. A lot of girls have told me that they were expecting like the Atlantic City Boardwalk and everything, but then they got a completely different experience in Connecticut at the Mohegan Sun. Although I have heard that it is beautiful and was a blast. I'm just wondering, in addition to your experience in general, how did you handle those changes? I don't know how long you've loved Miss America, but for as long as you've loved it, I'm sure that you dreamed of going there. And was it shocking? Was it a little jarring to have it be different, or did you take those differences in stride?
You know, that's, again, it was a little bit of both. And like I said, you know, you've got to be, part of this job is that you've got to be ready for anything and
Yes,
everything at any time, right?
adaptable.
You kind of have to be, yeah, you've got to constantly be on standby. And
Yes,
so that was kind of like the mood that I went in with, like every day, because I was like, oh, what's going to change today? What's it going to be? And so there was a lot actually walking into Miss America that we did not know. And reason being is because leadership could not tell us until they had more details. So a lot of like what we found out, like the layout
yes,
of the show, you know, like just before it aired. So that was a little crazy. But you know what? I think what really made the experience so great was the fact that, you know, again, it was an even playing field for everybody. We were all going through this together at the same
yes,
time. So adapting to those changes, you know, and just being around people who kept it positive and looked at it on the positive end really, really helped. a lot of some of the changes, I'll be honest with you, were total and complete curveballs, like that we didn't expect. But again, that did not take away or discredit our experience in any way. And what really made the experience was the fact that we were able to do it together, that we were able to help each other get through it together. And that, to me, that is the epitome of sisterhood. So we got a front row seat to that.
Absolutely.
It was a tough week, but the best kind of tough that you could ever imagine. I mean, we were at Miss America, so really crazy to even say that I did that, but I did it with the best class of women at the best possible time. Like, I know without a shadow of a doubt that this was the year that I was meant to do this, and the outcome of the competition for me was meant for me, and Camille was meant to win. I wholeheartedly believe that with everything in me, and so I could not be more proud of her. I've known her for, let me see, it's been 8 years that I've known Camille, and never did I think that I would ever see. Again, I saw her for the first time in 8 years at Miss America's Outstanding Teen last year. And never did I think that I would ever find myself on the Miss America stage with her again and watching her win. So it was a really, really cool experience to watch somebody that I knew take home the title. But the first runner-up, Victoria Hill, Miss Georgia, also a dear friend of mine and actually my Miss America roommate, both fantastic choices for the job. But again, this was the year that it was meant to happen this way, and that's totally fine. So I support Camille in all her endeavors. She's absolutely fantastic. Really hope one day that I can watch Camille on the silver lining. That'd be super cool. Yes, so that would be absolutely amazing. But again, we really braved all of those changes together, and I think that's what made the experience so wonderful, so memorable, and at the end of the day, really, really worthwhile.
Absolutely. And let me just say, you're very gracious to be so happy for your friend winning Miss America. You mentioned that too, like, you were happy for your friends when they had success, and they were happy for you when you won Miss Pennsylvania. I think that graciousness is so key in being a winner and, just being a really great representative of the organization. So I commend you for that. And I just want to be clear to anyone watching, I don't ask these questions about Miss America to point out that the differences are bad or that they're negative at all. In fact, I love the system and I think it's better than ever, really. But I do ask these questions because you girls are, like I said, I admire your class. Not only have you been through a completely different Miss America, because in 2.0 in 2018, when it first started, that was a crazy change. But then in 2019, it got a little bit even more aggressive with the changes. Not only did you have that in front of millions of people, and like you said, shortly before showtime, now you're dealing with a pandemic. So your year has been full of curveballs. Suddenly, all your appearances are virtual. You're learning how to navigate on Zoom, making sure everyone can hear you, where to angle your camera, where's my ring light, and that's really hard. So you guys have done an incredible job. I admire you all a lot, and I love how you said that having the girls there with you, going through it all together on an even playing field really bonded you guys, and it just is really, really cool that you guys got to experience Miss America together, but through those not so sure times, confusing times, you had each other's backs.
Oh, absolutely. And again, I think it's just, again, like you said, everybody has a different opinion about these changes, and it affected us, each and every single one of us, very differently, and we handled it very differently. But again, it's an organization's job to grow, to change, and to evolve. And so we, as a class, got a front row seat to that experience. And so I think all in all, it was actually a really cool experience to be a part of, even though it might've been crazy at times to think that like, oh, this is happening. And, having to make that quick adaptation, it really taught me a lot about the fact that you constantly need to be flexible and ready for anything.
Yes.
But also I'm watching a 100-year-old organization morph and change and become better and better and better. And so getting a front row seat to that, I think, was so unique, and having my sisters by my side doing it is also very unique. So again, really great questions, and they're important to ask too. So I think everybody will have a different tidbit to share on it. But I think getting that feedback is important, because it's going to be one of you one day, and we don't know what your experience will look like. But, we as a class, just as much as you guys love talking to us, we love talking to you, because this is we've never gotten this experience before. And I think, you know, honestly, this pandemic has had a lot of negative come out of it, but I think this is one positive thing, is to be able to connect or have the time to connect with local title holders in other states. I've met so many people on Zoom. It's kind of crazy. So please know that like our class loves chatting with you guys, and we are happy at any point in time to give you feedback, to help you out, because we were in your shoes once, and we are in these shoes for a lot longer than we expected. And so it is our desire as a class to use this time to really, really pour into those that are like us. We want you to do the best that you can. So we are here for you as a class. We love you guys and want to do anything we can to help.
Well, thank you so much for saying that. That made me so happy. And basically, Tiffany just said that we're best friends.
Yes.
So
I'm a big Florida fan.
That's that. Best friends of Miss Pennsylvania. Don't come at me. So now I only have 2 more questions, and I'm so sad, but I do want to ask you about your social impact initiative.
Absolutely. My social impact initiative is adoption advocacy.
Oh.
And it's a very, very personal thing for me. I was born addicted, cocaine positive, and not expected to live beyond 2 weeks. And doctors said that if I would live beyond 2 weeks, I would be dealing with a myriad of health complications. I might be mentally disabled, physically disabled. They didn't know. And so basically discouraged my parents from adopting me, because they said it was going to be more of a hassle than a joy. And so 25 years later, I would hope and pray that I am more of a joy than a hassle. I'm a very expensive joy. I will tell you that. My parents will be the first to tell you that. But again, 25 years later, I am here to tell the tale. More than happy, just to be here, to have an extended period of time to use this platform of Miss Pennsylvania to broadcast my message. And that is that adoption and foster care are very, very important things. There are 500,000 kids in these United States that currently reside in foster care. And afterwards, when they age out of foster care at the age of 18, they have the chance to become addicted, incarcerated, dead, homeless, and so many other things. And so my job that I do is I take my personal story, I share it with others to encourage people to look into adoption and foster care, that it is an unconventional way to start a family, but it is not an invalid way to start a family. And you never know the impact and the change that you can make in a child's life by just agreeing to do that. Yeah. And so I think it's important. My job is especially important to remind the foster kids that I encounter and that I talk to, that they are a success story in the making and they are not a statistic. And I think the more that we get people on board, the more that we take the intimidation factor out of and away from adoption and foster care, the more people we can get on board, and the less statistics we'll see, and the more success stories we'll see. So I think that this job, I'm glad that I have an extended amount of time to do this. I know that last year I was kind of busy with Miss America preparation. So appearances sometimes in this arena could be limited, but I have reached out to some government connections that I have, state government connections, looking forward to hopefully legislatively making a difference in foster care and adoption here in the state of Pennsylvania. So really excited to have an extended amount of time to do that and to share my story around the state and beyond. So really unique opportunity.
Yes. Wow. That is, I almost was like tearing up when you said that. Like literally, that is incredibly inspiring to see where you started at, where doctors didn't even expect you to live like 2 weeks if you were lucky. 25 years later, now you're Miss Pennsylvania and you're speaking out about this, using your public appearance for good, and you're using all the attention you've garnered to promote this cause. And I think that every platform is valid, although I've rarely heard this platform, which I love hearing all these new and different platforms. Every platform is valid and every platform is important as long as it's important to the girl that's preaching about it. Absolutely. But I think it's different when you've lived it, when you are one of those kids, were one of those kids. I'm absolutely inspired by you. I'm absolutely inspired by your words. And I think that what you've done is incredible. And I'm sure that you have meant so much to those kids that you've leveled with and spoken to and told them that I was once here. I had the potential to die and I didn't, and I'm here and I'm better than ever. And I'm so lucky to have your amazing family. So that is wonderful. And I'm so happy that you are here and you are Miss Pennsylvania and that you're sharing your story with me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's my pleasure. Anytime. Seriously.
So now I have my last question, and thank you so much for being here again. You are clearly a very positive person. So my show's title is A Silver Lining, and it's all about finding positivity in every situation. So I'm wondering, what was the most positive part? What was a silver lining through your affiliation with pageants? What was the best part of it all to you?
I'll tell you what, that's actually a fantastic question. And this is actually one of my favorite stories to share. I had met a gentleman's wife at one of the events that I did. It was a Children's Miracle Network hospital event. It was the Blizzard Run. And I didn't even realize that I was doing this at the time, but I was having a conversation with somebody's wife, and I was telling them my story about adoption and, you know, why adoption and foster care are so important. And it was like maybe a 5-minute conversation. And so actually at the beginning of this year, I had another Children's Miracle Network hospitals event. And this gentleman approached me and said, you know, hi, I'm insert name here. I don't remember his name. But he said, I just wanted to let you know that back in September of last year, you had a conversation, a very meaningful and impactful conversation with my wife about adoption and foster care. And so impactful that we have decided to foster a 17-year-old girl. And so we just wanted to let you know that that is because of you. And so for me, that really put into perspective for me why I do what I do. A lot of people think that this job is about being low-key famous. It's about being a social media influencer. It's about all the followers that you get. It's about all the things that you get to do, dresses you get to wear, photo shoots you have. But I will be the first to tell you that it is not about any of that. It is about the stories that I just shared with you. It is those things that make my job so unique and so unbelievably important. And had I not been in this position right now, that 17-year-old girl might not have foster parents. And so it's stories like that that remind me, you know what, sometimes when I wake up and I don't feel like doing the job today, it's reasons like that I do it. And I could not be happier. And I hope to hear, upon the extension of this year for me, I hope to hear more stories like that. And that is the goal. That is what I want to do. I want to continue to take the intimidation factor away from foster care and adoption to remind people that these are kids. These are kids just like your kids at home, your biological sons and daughters that need love just as much, if not more, because their future post-foster care is not a bright one. And they are at risk of becoming a statistic when you easily could make them a success story in whatever way that you can. And you know what? There are people out there that are not called to foster care and adoption, and that is a-okay. But that doesn't mean that there aren't ways that you can get involved in these kids' lives. You can. I actually have a dear friend that lives in the Mechanicsburg area, works at a coffee shop that hires foster kids after aging out of the system, gives them employment between 9 months and a year, and they have staff that sit down with them, help them fill out college applications, job applications, so that way they are a success story and not a statistic. And so I think it's really important, even if you don't feel like foster care and adoption are your jam, that's okay. That's okay. There are other ways to get involved and to make an impact in these kids' lives. And so I think it's just a matter of finding those niche opportunities, and they are out there. So that is the reason that I do this job. I love hearing stories like that. I love what my friend is doing in Mechanicsburg. It's just a really, really encouraging scenario. So I am so excited that I get the opportunity and an extension of an opportunity to continue to talk about this issue, to continue to shed light on this issue, and hoping to make a difference with the remainder of this year. So super, super excited.
That made me tear up. That was beautiful. I absolutely love that. I'm sorry if you heard my dog slightly whimpering.
Oh, no, you're okay.
I think she was very emotionally impacted by your answer as well, right, Apolline? She's too emotional to even. That was beautiful. I love that story. Clearly, yes, like you said, if you had not been Miss Pennsylvania, that girl wouldn't have a home. And think about it, you might not even know how many other families you inspired, and you may never know that answer, but even still, just the thought that you might have inspired more than that one is enough. And I so agree. My platform is organ donation, and I have only really been able to work virtually through my years in this, but I've had people from all over the world message me and say, seriously, I've had people from like Australia and Peru, wow. and I'm like Miss South Florida Fair. I'm not Miss Pennsylvania or anything, but that reach is cool. And one girl said to me, 18, she was my age at the time she wrote me, just before I turned 18. I'm 18, and I don't even remember the slew of problems she had, but she had very serious kidney failure, and she said, you advocating for this is inspiring people to sign up for the registry, and that's one more person that gets a kidney, and that gets me up on the list, because as people know,
Awesome.
transplants are very hard to get, and that just made me so emotional. People that tell me they've signed up for the registry because of me, it makes me so happy. And I just completely agree with you with what you said, and that's so impactful, and you clearly have made a huge impact. You are incredibly inspiring and amazing, and I'm so happy to have had you here. I'm honored to know you and to have met you, and I do hope you come to Miss Florida. And I know Apolline enjoyed you very much too, even though she's whimpering. She's hungry and she's moody. So
I feel that.
yeah, literally my mood always. But you are an absolute queen in every sense of the word. I'm so happy to have a friend in Pennsylvania now. And guys, please follow Tiffany. She is absolutely amazing. She obviously advocates for very important causes, is always educating people, and she also talks about important social issues like going to vote. Like I said, vote. This will probably come out after voting day, but I'm still going to post this clip beforehand so you all can see Tiffany telling you to vote. Because if you don't listen to me, well, then you're going to listen to her, obviously. Follow her. Like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me. And Tiffany, thank you again.
Absolutely. My pleasure, Julia. Thank you for having me on. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.